Grandpa Music David.
Right, if I go over to Discord over here. Hey everybody, I don't know if you can all hear me. Johnny's kindly come in today to speak about his ABC strategy, so let me share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see that. Not sure if you can kind of do a full screen here. Let me see, there we go, there's a full screen over there. And there's the chat. So Johnny is from Johnny Crypto on YouTube, and he's now part of our Discord. So I'll leave it over to you, Johnny. We can see your screen. I believe that everybody can now see your screen. Yep.
We're good to go?
Yep, you're good to go.
All right. Good evening, good afternoon. Most likely it's probably nighttime where you guys are, but hope everyone's doing well. I'm gonna approach this the same way I do my normal streams. So if you guys are interested in getting more of a live stream update from me, I do stream twice a week on my channel. Feel free to check it out. But we're just gonna do the normal routine and just gonna hang out. You guys can ask me any questions. Pretty much nothing's off limits. So it could be ABC trading related, whatever, in between. So let's just go over kind of what I'm looking at and kind of go over an update and give you guys some of the setups I'm looking for, and it's more of an overall bigger picture. So the last stream and the last couple of streams, I talked about first when you are in or when you're trying to evaluate ABCs, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to kind of get a better understanding of the bigger picture of what is going on. And for me, the best way for me to do that is to kind of go to a more bigger, not I would say massive, but a more macro time frame and kind of see what you're looking at here. And just based off of what I can see right off the bat is I do see one bigger A to a B to a C. Now, the question of whether we bottomed at that first touch at 17.5K or we're going to put another low, that's another question. Well, I'll go over that as well. But the big thing I want to highlight is that within these setups, a lot of the times you're going to get your own little ABC within them. So, and within each of these waves, I can definitely see an ABC. I'll go ahead and highlight that for you guys here. There's an A to a B to a C, A to a B to a C, and then A to a B to possibly a C. Or the other variation of that is something like this, where we did form a bottom here. It really depends on if that low is tested and broken. Now, we can come all the way back down and not break that low, and I would still consider this the absolute low for now. And we can come up with another structure when price further develops. So as of right now, the question of did we find a bottom is still in the air. As of now, I do see a possibility of this being a bottom, but I have to kind of wait and see what the bigger structure holds or what it wants to form. The other variation of that is what I mentioned before, is just an A to a B, and we're going to form one more low to complete a C. And then that, to me, looks like a much larger, very valid, this is like a textbook definition of what I like to see of an ABC. So once you kind of get a better idea of what that is like, then you can kind of dive into the quote unquote smaller time frames. Now, when I say this, I want you guys to just understand that what I mean that is it's not time frame that's important, it's perspective. And for me, the biggest perspective or the main perspective that you're going to be focusing on and the most important to me is if you're going to stick around to like a 30-minute to an hour time frame and you're going to sit there and zoom out. Like take that mouse wheel you got and just zoom out as much as you can. Because the issue is I can sit here on an hour and zoom all the way in and do this, but it becomes non-productive. Like this is not going to help you. Once you actually zoom out as much as you can and look at the bigger picture, then you can kind of get a lot easier of an understanding of what the levels that do matter. So the next step for me is I like to try to break things down and kind of form different ideas and see where price can possibly go. So let's kind of do that here. Now, off, I'm gonna go based off the two main ideas I talked about in the beginning. And if that is the case, I have to kind of see where we're at here. So for me, I had a couple main ideas of what I possibly could see happening in the future. First, I wanted to show you guys the ABC setup of what we formed up in this region up here. Let me highlight that. All right, so we're gonna kind of just focus on this section for now. So for me, I see this in an A to a B to a C, and that's kind of I'm gonna highlight a smaller structure, and I'm gonna use the orange lines here to highlight the bigger waves. So ABC to make an A, and unfortunately, I'm gonna consider this leg here a B, even though there wasn't necessarily a nice setup. I do sometimes see that it does want to give you a more of an ideal structure, but sometimes you just get a straight aggressive trend, whether it's to the upside or the downside, and that technically is part of the B or the C, depending on which wave it is. But I will consider that a B wave in this case. And from there, I have to go based off of what I see. And to me, I see this as a bigger ABC structure. And the C wave, it's going to have its own A to a B to a C. All right. And that is going to complete the much larger setup here. Maybe I'll go if you guys can. I mean, let me know if that's not clear. You're having having a hard time seeing this. To me, this is how I identify the bigger structure. And once I draw that, I want to go back and kind of see, okay, where does this stand, or does this make sense? What's the next possibility? Once you got to that point, I thought to myself, okay, maybe this is a beginning of an uptrend. We're going to get some sort of pullback and then maybe continue upwards. So when I see this, I go back. Once I identify this the larger A, I kind of have to see, if prey wants the bottom here and come up here, that's a possibility. It's about kind of understanding the bigger picture and coming up with different ideas and possibilities of what may or may not happen. For me and my main idea, there's two ways I kind of want to approach this. As I talked about in the beginning, that I possibly could see this as an ABC to complete that last C leg. What if that's not the case? What if this is the bottom? What's the next step? So for me, I personally think that if we found a bottom here, this is going to be an A to a B, and then we're going to start continuing upwards. And to me, this is going to be more of I wouldn't say macro, but a longer term uptrend. Just because of that, and I have a couple different ideas that are not necessarily ABC related, but like one of the things I talk about, or one of the things I see in traditional patterns or from the traditional pattern aspect, is going to be an Adam and Eve. So you're going to have basically an aggressive downtrend. You're going to have a retracement and then more of a rounded bottom. And then from there, you're going to break that neckline. And to me, that is the most bullish structure you can ever hope to see in Bitcoin. To me, it trumps, double bottoms. And then not necessarily that I'm viewing them differently or I don't discredit double bottoms. It just, if I go back in price action, I just want to highlight this quick because I know it's not necessarily ABC related, but I just want to show you guys a couple of examples. Here is a a reversed, or what was the word for it? A Maltese Adam and Eve, where you have a kind of a less aggressive uptrend and then a sharp decline. And basically, once you broke that neckline, that is a good signal for a reversal. Another one here is a little bit of a smaller one. I can do this all day. A lot of the bottoms have been shown to put in some sort of Adam and Eve, and that's led to bigger reversals in the market. I'm not going to say it's going to dictate all bulls and bear markets, but for me, that's what I like to see for a good sign that the market's looking healthy, or at least wants to look bullish in the mid to longer term. So let's go back to this, and let's talk about. Oh wait, this is the wrong. Let's talk about the ideas of where price can go for each scenario. For me, if BTC wants to remain bullish, I want to see this as an ABC and possibly break this low. I personally think if we're going to come down this far, you're so close to this low here that you're probably going to end up breaking it. And that's going to go with the idea that I mentioned before that we're going to have a larger ABC. At this point, we're so aggressively downtrending that this looks like it's going to be the most likely scenario. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. I just have to kind of paint a picture and see, okay, if price is really going to come down and form this larger structure to the upside, or sorry, to the downside to be more bullish, since these two are so close together, I like to put the idea that it's probably gonna test that low. It could absolutely not. If that's the case, you would want price to come back below this line here at about 18.5 or 18,465, and then come back above. Maybe if you get a very slight wick, that I would consider a larger bullish setup. And I'm definitely going to be taking that to the size of what position. Am I going to take a full size long off of it, or if I'm going to take a half size trade? I don't know. It's really up in the air. Kind of have to see where things go at the moment, or what price wants to do in this range or in this area. If that's not the case, that's pretty much the only major, I guess, bullish. I would say major, but the only bullish scenario I would see happening in the kind of the nearer time frame. Besides that, if it fails to get back above once it's below the next level, I'm going to be testing here, and from there on, price can keep going down, to like 15K, 14K. I can't remain bullish until price sustains above that, either this low here at 18.5, like I mentioned before. I'll go ahead and mark that out for you guys. And if not, that 17,500 area. Let me just change the colors. Oh, that is the wrong green. So those are the two levels I'm looking to long. Remember, when it comes to ABCs, price has to get below these lines and then come back above. If you're shorting, price has to come above and then back below whatever the A level is that I identified. So that's pretty much, I don't know why I deleted those, to be honest. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the levels I'm looking at. I'm going to go take a look at ETH just because it's something I did take a trade off of recently, and I'm kicking myself in the butt because I did short this 18 or 1685 level just because off of the same ideas and principles that I talk about. Each wave has its own particular set of waves. Now for BTC, you didn't get that nice uptrend that gave you a bearish signal to short. To me, this is one continuous trend. There's no good ABCs here. So in certain scenarios, I'll look for ETH, or in this case, I missed out on LTC as well, and I'll talk about that briefly. But I did manage to short off of the 1685 level, and based off of this structure here. Let me show you guys. So this ABC, so I see this as an A to a B to a C, A, B, C. And to me, as long as price is below this level here, which is that 1685 region I mentioned before, you have every right to remain bearish. Whether you guys want to take shorts off of that, it's up to you. I managed to get a short off of here, and ideally the take profit would have been a test of this low. I did take I was intending on taking partial profit around that like 1475, 1480 region. Um, but I was in the middle of things, and for some reason, Bybit on my phone was lagging. I thought I exited it already, or I thought I hit the partial take profit button. So I tried doing it a couple times, and I completely didn't realize that I pretty much just erased my entire position by doing that instead of refreshing the page like an idiot. Um, so if you guys are in this, because I did mention this in the group here, that I was short off of this level. So if you guys are shorting here, I told you guys, hey, don't be afraid to take some off the table. But for me, this is a good position to hold for at least a test of this bottom. Now, I know I talked about BTC putting in a lower low, but ETH happened to play out differently. And to me, I don't see, I mean, it completely could happen, but I make up my decisions based off probabilities. And for me, since ETH pumps so high, I don't see ETH coming all the way back down and putting a lower low past 880. So I view this a little bit differently on a bigger term time frame. I'm looking at this as an A. Now you do have a flat here. Now I personally don't like, or I don't make trades off of flats. They're 100%. How do I say this? It's 100% a possibility that it could happen. The odds of it happening are very slim. Based off what I see and how I view ABCs, you don't see too many flats. But in this case, you do have an ABC flat. So this was considered A or a B. And then this continuous uptrend was a C with its own ABC within the C wave. So for me, this was a completed uptrend. Now I'm looking for more of a pullback. Instead of looking at BTC, I'm looking for a lower low. Since ETH is in a different position, I do like the idea of this being an A to a B to a C to an A to a B to a C to a B, and then somehow we're going to get some sort of ABC. But to me, that doesn't really matter as much, is because I already have a more major macro, or I keep saying macro, a mid to higher term time frame A. So I'm looking for that level to break. And once this completes, this is going to look like a much larger A to a B. And then I don't know where price is going to go from there, but I like to see a much longer term uptrend to the upside. And that looks fantastic. I think that's a good setup. And if, once ETH breaks below that 1422 level, or 1420, 1415, I'll mark that out for you guys as well. I don't know how far lower it's going to push past, but for me, that doesn't really necessarily matter. As long as BTC gets back above, let me mark that out in green so I show you guys that I am looking to long off of that. So once that happens, and once price can, kind of test this area, and I'm going to be taking that trade every single time. I don't know how I'm going to set up my trades initially. Me personally, with this ETH trade, my R&R is a little bit more aggressive. Most of you guys in this group, I kind of preach to use a little bit less aggressive of a stop loss for certain reasons. One is frequency. The more aggressive of a stop loss you use, the more frequent you're going to be in and out of trades. Some people don't have time to do that. Some people can't stomach that. There's various reasons. But when you're messing with R&R, you're risking profitability for winning percentage. So if your R&R is a 2.5 compared to if your stop loss is a 2.5% compared to a 1%, you're not going to be making as much money, but you're less likely to get stopped out. Now, it's not guaranteed. I'm kind of messing around with different ideas of what the ideal R&R is. For BTC, I feel like 1% of a stop loss on chart is a good spot for me. Maybe you can go to like 2%. For ETH, I'm going to say you should be using a minimum of like a 2.5%, maybe even 3. It really depends on your lifestyle, what you got going on. Are you able to stick to the charts? Are you able to stay on top of your trades and your positions? It's a case by case scenario. I'll just talk about LTC real quick because it had a really good setup here. I highlighted this just ahead of time, but I'll go over it again. Pretty much, LTC had a beautiful ABC setup here. Now, to me, this is a bigger A to a bigger B to a C. And to me, this is going to form a much larger A And this B wasn't significant in size compared to the larger A, but I'm still going to count that. Let me just erase this so you guys can get a clearer picture. This ABC was a B, and now this ABC here became the C. And once you break that high of the top of the A, you're going to go ahead and you're going to short every single time. Well, every single time price gets back below that 65.77 region, because you do have the much larger setup formed here. Now, when it comes to taking profit on a setup like this is a more of a macro short to me. So I talk about using fibs as a good way to take profit, but me personally, I would prefer you guys do it on a much larger setup. And this is a great example of what a larger setup is. So when I use this method, I kind of target the 0.5 to 0.441 region. It's not a dead set at the 0.5. It's more of like a zone. And it happens to match up with the area of where this low is. And to me, that is a good place to take profit on that short. And if I build this trade, I'm going to use like a 2% just to be safe. That's about a 10, depending on where you take profit. Now, a 10 R&R based on off a 2% stop loss, that's really good. That's pretty good. I would say if you can get about an average of a 5 R&R using a 2% stop loss on chart, that's a good R&R to aim for. When I use my 1%, I personally aim for about a 10. So this kind of, once you mess around with the your trading setups, how you're gonna structure your trades, that you kind of have to play with and see what your profitability percentage is or your winning percentage is versus what kind of R&R you're looking for within the trade. And from there, you can kind of give an idea whether it's going to be profitable long term. The kind of the milestone and like the baseline I use is if I'm using a 1% risk on 1% on chart, I'm going to be aiming for a 10 R&R, and basically anything above a 10% winning rate at that R&R setup with using a 1% stop loss, that means it's going to be profitable. Obviously, the more you can get above that 10, or sorry, more you can get above that 10% winning percentage, the more profitable you're going to be, the more money you're going to make. So that's about it. I just wanted to touch on that. And that's going to be the main things I look for. You know, some of the alts I really don't pay attention to. If there's a decent setup, like here's one on BCH, I really don't actively look for setups on some of these altcoins. I personally just kind of go with BTC and ETH, and I might scan through the list every once in a while and find a possible setup. But that's pretty much it. That's all I really got for my main TA or my main setup. So I'm now going to open the floor to you guys. You guys can ask me anything, whether in regards to setups, taking positions, trading in general. I can answer anything. So floor is open to you guys.
Cool. That's great. Thanks, Johnny. That was brilliant. So you don't use any indicators whatsoever, do you, for like confluence or anything like that, other than the Fibonacci's that you were using? Is that right? Helps if I turn on my mic.
Feel free. You guys can post questions in chat, and if I miss something, David or Vlad, just let me know.
I forgot to open my mic. That was great. Thanks, Johnny. I was like sitting and talking away, but I forgot to open the mic. No, it was absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you don't actually use any other indicators at all, do you? Your ABCs and Fibonacci's, and that's fibs for your.
Yeah, I use fibs to look for like a take profit area. But most of the time I don't even use that. Like in this case scenario with ETH, since I know we're playing into a continuation, it wouldn't make sense for me to take profit at 0.5 if I'm looking for a lower low.
Yeah.
So it depends on the setup. It really depends on the size of the structure as well. That's pretty much what I look for, though.
Cool.
Well, to answer your question, I don't use any indicators. I pretty much, for me, price is my indicator. I kind of establish my own levels, and then I take trades based off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's the funny thing with the ABC patterns. I've been trying to code them for ages. I've managed to get one sort of close to what I would trade, but there is no real indicators that really give good confluence to them that I've found so far.
I'm sure maybe there's got to be some sort of secret out there we don't know about yet. So
Yeah,
maybe down the line we figure something out. But
Yeah,
for me,
absolutely.
it's the thing that I like about using strict price levels is that it's instant confirmation. As soon as I get a level, as soon as price gets back above or below that certain region I'm looking for, I'm taking it. I'm not waiting for anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a slight difference to your strategy than Kite's. Use a slightly bigger stop loss, which I think probably helps a little bit because the problem for me with not the Kites are like the inventor of all of this, but I know that it's quite hard to go through periods where you've got lots of stop getting stopped out quite a lot. So we were looking for like wave trends and things like that to try and find ways of getting stopped out a little bit less. But
Less.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning here, so my brain is almost completely gone. But yeah. So
I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. But yeah, so you answered most of my questions. I was going to ask like how you set your stop loss and things like that. So, but I'm just going to open your channel on the stream so that everybody can find you.
I appreciate that.
No, that's normal. Just put it up. Let me go over to crypto over here. There we go, over here. Of course, it's on full screen. There we go. Okay, so for YouTube, there is Johnny's channel. If anybody's looking for more information about the ABCs, and also he's in our group in just here. So we have Johnny's setups that are here. Where you can actually go and talk to Johnny throughout the week. He's got a thread in there, and also he answers most questions through the thread, and also puts his setups in there as well. As you can see, he's been putting all his setups and his live streams, etc. there.
Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, in the future, if something comes up, please feel free to ask.
You did a great job of explaining the ABCs. So, of
course.
Yeah. Unless anybody's got any questions, I think that's great. What I'll do is I'll post the link to the video on the Patreon page so everybody can find it. Thank you very much, Johnny. Has anybody got any other questions? No? Cool. Great first stream. Thank you very much, Johnny.
All right.
You'll be back.
It was good. It was fun.
Next week. Do the
same. Yeah. Well, Yep. I can do the same time.
If it's good with you, otherwise, just tell Vlad, and Vlad will sort that out for you. Sort another time out for you.
No problem.
Yeah. Perfect.
Don't talk too loud, Vlad. All right, everybody. Have a good evening. Thank you very much, Johnny. And like I said, I'll post the video on all of the pages. Unless anybody's got any other questions, I'm going to leave you all. Have a nice evening, everybody. And thank you very much again, Johnny. Great explication.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you for the lesson.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Take care. Bye.
Good night.